another mini bike build, but this one is unlike any other we've done before. Hopefully you can tell by the title and by looking at it right now, we're gonna build a little rotary mini bike. So we're super excited. This is a 1970 LT grade mini bike that was originally all chrome. This is like we've owned this longer than any other project we've ever had. We bought this at the first paid swap meet, and we had other plans for it. We've actually had a Tillotson on this thing and driven it, but we actually made those videos like 2 years ago and we scrapped it from then. The Tillotson we did build for this is actually on our Cafe Racer mini bike now. So we've kind of shifted directions because like nothing's really felt right. But I think we hit it right now with this rotary motor. So this is a 160cc Sachs KM48. This is basically like the Predator 212 of rotaries. Like they put these on pressure washers, basically any kind of utility application they used it. Not really sure why they used the rotary, but we're sure happy that these exist because they're pretty cool. So we're gonna be putting this thing on the bike, but we did actually uncrate this thing like probably 6 months ago. So I have some footage of us starting it up right out of the crate that I'll put in right now. So I hope that got you a little bit excited for this thing coming up because it sounds so cool. So now, the first order of business, before we can even think about getting this thing on the bike, we need to make sure we can get a clutch hooked up to it. So the problem we face is that this is a tapered shaft on this engine right here, which unfortunately won't allow us to be able to put the clutch on it. But the good news is this section is unboltable. So we should be able to, with this 3/4 inch jack shaft that does fit on our clutch, make something happen. Alright, well I guess it wouldn't be a fun build if we weren't welding to bolts that are stripped out. So we got 5 of these out, but we got 1 more, so we're doing the old weld the Allen wrench in there trick, so wish us luck. Wasn't looking too hot, but we made it happen. I almost bent the Allen wrench in half, but let's see what's under here. Sweet. It's a hole right there, man. I think we can just drill that straight. Nice. To be 3/4. Alright, so we just drilled this out to 3/4, so I hope you're getting an idea here. So this is going to slide in like this, and then we'll be able to use our clutch here. Just going to go right on like that, and we have an operational clutch. So now what we got to do is, this is pretty well centered on here because it is 3/4 drilled out and we use a drill press. So now we're just going to weld this on, cut the shaft to size, and then we'll meet our mini bike. Oh, it's so small now.
So we're probably not going to be running this extended output shaft, so can you cut this down?
Not keeping the foot peg?
Nope.
Dang. We just finished up getting our 3/4 shaft welded on, and so our motor's all good. So that means I took off the gas tank and I took off the exhaust, and you can see how small of a little package this thing is. We should be able to squeeze a lot of power out of this thing in the future. It's gonna be pretty sweet. But I'm just loving how this thing looks. Just take a second to just bask in the glory of the rotary mini bike. But now what we gotta do is we're gonna pull this thing off, and we need to basically undo some of the bad metalwork we did in the past. Basically just kind of disassemble this thing, get it really cleaned up, because this thing is gonna get re-chromed and all that, so we need to make sure it is top notch.
Thought that would happen. Alright, so we got it completely disassembled, and now we just need to knock out these few seized bearings, and then we'll go clean up the frame.
Nice.
These are completely seized, these don't even remotely turn.
All right, so we just did a bunch of surgery to this, where it's gonna take a lot of cleanup and re-welding and stuff, but I mean, these are pretty cool with these spring actions up in here. When they're both welded together, this one's kind of a little bit more seized than the other one, so I think before we ride this thing, we're gonna have to, you know, take these front forks apart and do some real cleaning up, maybe add like a grease zert or something. That way these can stay super nice. So, it's a lot nicer to buy engine mount plates, but because they don't sell that many for old rotaries, we had to make our own slots, but we're finally done with that.
Now that we got this thing all cleaned up, let's go take a look at the parts that we got for this thing. Huge thank you to Go Power Sports for hooking us up with all the parts for this thing. We have this sweet front rim that kind of matches our old one. We're gonna have to polish that one up so they match, but it's gonna look really nice. We got a brand new seat, some new metal fenders for the front and rear. They'll go like that, and then some brand new tires. Let's get this thing rolling again.
So, because we are running these nice new Go Power Sports rims and tires, and they're a little bit bigger than what a stock El Tigre was used to, we have to widen these forks out. And what seems like a really easy job actually has taken a couple of days. But I'm pretty proud of it, because what we did is we just kind of chopped these two apart, kind of put them in a jig based on how far the tire needed to be apart, and then cut in new front plates. So now what I'm gonna do is we'll get this on the bike and we'll finally be able to have this thing be a complete roller. All right, so look at that, guys. That's about 40 years worth of rust and stuff gone. We successfully widened the front, and this is how this thing was definitely made to look. I really like a little bit bigger tire on it, but still kind of keeping it a little bit retro. So now what we need to do is we cut off the old spring mounts for the seat because they're kind of old and torn out. So we're gonna re-weld some new ones on and then get the seat on and add a kickstand, and then we'll wrap up this video. All right, this is, oh, there we go. So we got our Go Power Sports weld-on kickstand right in here, and basically that's all it is, a weld-on kickstand, super easy. Slides right in like that, and then you're rolling, comes out, and you're looking. Yeah, you might as well just, now it's just gonna get shaken, however it be.
So this is our new front plate. Since we had to stretch it out, we had to make a new one. And we're just welding it bit by bit and bending it as we go around.
So we're welding on some springs with some weld on tabs we get from Amazon. Check it out for our affiliate links if you want to kind of support us and use this stuff that we use that works real well. But after this is done, we'll be able to sit on it and get the rotary on there, and it's kind of gonna be its final form.
Alrighty, as you guys can see, we made a ton of progress on this thing. It's already looking good. We got it back to that kind of vintage state. If you didn't know better, you wouldn't know we did anything. Oh, maybe that might give it away. But it's got that nice classic look what we're going for, and it's just gonna be a killer bike. So thank you to Go Power Sports for all the parts on this thing. Make sure to check us out on Instagram at Build Break Repeat. Follow us on Facebook. Subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.